Ritik.
Hello.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, good evening.
Hi Ritik, how are you doing?
Fine, sir.
Just give me a moment. So Ritik, when did you start your work? Can you go through your experience?
So from the starting till here, or only cloud or DevOps unit?
Yeah, whatever. Starting from till now.
Okay, okay. From the scratch, I am going through. So I
Yeah.
am a 2016 pass out, BTech Computer Science with first division. So I got placed from college only. So in 2016 I passed out my BTech. So initially I was placed in HCL Technologies, but that was a third party payroll. So my task, I started my career as a desktop support engineer. So
Okay.
after that I pursued some certifications, but before that I was moved to a project which was DBR project, which was a technical support project, basically US based project in which all the issues, application related issues were there, and my task was to solve them. Other than that, in operations, in desktop support, I was handling hardware part of desktops also as well. So after that, I had pursued CCNA, and I was back in operations as an L1 network engineer. So my task was to handle all the L1 level of the issues, and the core level of tasks were handled by the L2 team. So after that, I joined Cisner Global Technologies as a full-time network engineer. So there, two projects I was handling. One was value support project, one was SME project. So Cisnet is basically a AMC company. So they had their various clients like banks and government sectors and PSUs. So 6,000 engineers were spread across pan India, and my task was to resolve the network related issues and guide the field engineers about all the networking related stuff. Other than that, the company's network I was also handling the internal network. Then I moved to KMG IT services. So what happened there was some project glitches. So Sysnet was offering me a printer related kind of project, but printer is not my field of area. So I moved to KMG IT services Gurgaon. So there I got exposure in servers, and soon after that they introduced the cloud related work. So whatever services I could use and contribute and migrate the projects and create all those servers according to the requirement. So in KMG we had a hybrid environment. 50% of that was in the on-prem, and 50% of that was cloud. And other than that, they had several clients like Amway and Hughes. So they were also deploying some cloud related stuff at that time. So I used to go there and do the feasibility checks and deploy all the resources and basically do R&D with their cloud teams as well. After that, I moved to, after KMG, Amdocs. So in Amdocs also, I was working on a third-party payroll of Surbik Software Private Limited. So this organization is in Pune. So in this organization, I was there for 10 months, and in 10 months, I handled two of the projects. One was cloud migration program, in which our client was AT&T, American Telephone and Telegraph. So there were 7,000 applications, in which 4,000 applications were supposed to be migrated to the cloud for the cost reduction purpose. So in total, in on-prem, they were deployed in 23 data centers, and that were supposed to be reduced to 8 for the cost reduction purpose. So there were in total 7 to 8 steps for the migration. which started with ADO onboarding. So ADO onboarding was the automated process by the AT&T. So after I did ADO onboarding, so there was a particular URL in which I had to feed certain entries, and after that the two kinds of environments used to reflect in Azure portal. One was DevOps prod and one was DevOps non-prod. After that I had to create three more environments. One was POC, that was proof of concept. One was non-prod and one was prod. So the resource creation happened like we were given detailed documentation of a particular application, and then we had a target architecture in which all the resources were mentioned, that what is to be created, how is to be created, and then according to that we used to create the resources for the production environment as per the application requirement. And then that resource creation was done using Terraform and not manually, and then it was migrated to the cloud, and then the cutover was of the application was accomplished. Other project was a BSSE project, which was in their internal product. Amdocs is a product based company, so BSSE is their internal product. So developers used to push their code in the Nexus repository, basically Artifactory, and then we used to pull those changes from the Nexus repository to the Bitbucket, and then we used to run the pipeline using Jenkins. But we used to trigger manual pipeline and not the automated one in the morning time and one was in the evening.
So you had a role in the CI pipeline.
Yeah. So that was the patching related work there. So in the Bitbucket we had a code, and we had a meeting in the morning time with the QE team, and they used to give us the one Word document. So all the changes which were supposed to be done was written there only, and then we used to make the changes in the Bitbucket, and then we used to commit the code and run Jenkins pipeline. And if any error is coming, so our task was to fix that error, and then we used to tell the status in the Scrum meeting, which used to happen 3 times a day.
So explain me one thing again. You are taking the code, you're taking the changes and the commits from QA. You are committing on their behalf.
Yes, QE, not QA. QE team is basically an application team which was a particular environment. So its name was QE, not the testing type of QA, and basically we were given the non-prod part.
I need clarity around this. Do you commit on behalf of developers?
Yeah, I mean we had a team of 5 to 6 people, and we were supposed to do the.
Like why? Why is that? I mean, why can't developers commit their own code into Git?
That though I don't know. We were supposed to do this kind of work. I mean, we were asked to do so.
Okay. So you mentioned till okay. So currently you are employed at Amdocs, right?
No, actually I am employed at nowhere.
Come again?
I am working nowhere right now.
Okay. You left Amdocs.
Yes,
okay.
But basically what happened was that they have migrated all the applications in a span of 1 year only, and that project was supposed to be completed around 2024. So only optimization and modernization tasks are going on. So I was a third party resource. So my company told me that we need to release you because your project is over.
Okay, so your contract ended in.
Yes.
Okay.
So 4th of Feb was my last working day.
Okay. No. Did you know Neeraj Agarwal there in Amdocs?
No. He is if he was a developer or in the cloud migration program.
Must be a senior manager.
Okay. Actually, Amdocs has 27,000 employees now.
Yeah, might be.
I know you might be Swaroop Hulawale.
No.
He is a very famous and decorated manager there.
Okay. Okay. Let's start with the evaluation properly. And can you switch on your video as well?
Yes.
Okay. So What Linux distributions have you used?
Basically Ubuntu and RHEL based.
Okay.
As and when required by the projects. Not I am not restricted to any particular.
You also have any offer in hand?
Yes.
Okay, so in the email that was in which you received the JD, you must have received some links about Hike Private Limited, right?
Yeah.
Did you through these documentations? What did you
Yes.
find?
Job description I went through. So basically that was DevOps job role.
Hmm.
So basically all the pipelines and all that stuff.
Yeah, and what did you find about the current business of Hike?
That I didn't go through. I basically this call has been rescheduled. So
Yeah.
so when I was given the link first time, that time I had gone through. Basically, I was redirected to the website of the company. So I went through the JD.
Hmm.
JD was in the separate will. So what I found that in general all the DevOps related stuff was there.
Okay. So we at Hike are building a Rush gaming play to earn universe.
Okay.
Okay. So we it's more than a year we launched our play to earn app and a free app as well on Play Store. Two free apps on Play Store. You can search a Rush app and get that application downloaded on your Apple OS or Android OS.
Yes.
And there's one. If you go to www.getrushapp.com, you will find a Play to Earn app.
Oh.
So there you can invest your pocket change and on money and play in the big tables as well.
Okay.
More cash. So this is not just that. We are also into NFT now. We have launched our NFT avatar and linked into our gaming as well. So players can also invest into NFT now. We are the first company that have started this NFT program.
So NFT means
Non-fungible token. NFT.
Okay. Non.
Fungible token.
Okay. Okay. So I will get through it.
Yeah. Search about NFT, you will get to know. So basically, these are virtual stuff that you can buy using your Bitcoin or any other transactions.
Oh.
So you worked on Ubuntu and RHEL. Can you tell me how do you manage installations? How do you manage packages in both of these OS?
So RHEL and Ubuntu are the two flavors. Basically, there are much more, like Linux Kali is used for the hacking related purpose. So if I talk about the main difference between RHEL and Ubuntu, so the difference, like we use Windows Home Basic at our home PC and Windows servers in the companies. Likewise, RHEL is more inclined to deployments and Ubuntu is more inclined to basically the home users. But as far as there is no restrictions regarding packages, so when we do the yum install, so all the packages are installed there only, and when we run the update commands, all the required packages are installed automatically. So I used to create the EC2 instances back in KMG from AWS portal. So there I used to install, and basically I was sent as a deportation engineer. So that time their KMG and their clients were using were doing R&D before deploying. So I used to create and install various kinds of software, be it Prometheus or Nagio or any particular application, and test its performance.
Okay.
So in Amdocs, basically I used to create Windows servers, and I created only 1 or 2 Linux based projects. So in total I did 10 applications, out of which 5 were end-to-end migrations and 5 were I gave support, and 8 of them were Windows based.
Okay. So in RHEL you manage using yum install, and how do you manage these in Ubuntu? Any idea?
No, I mean there is one command. One is yum install, and right now I am unable to recall. There are different commands. Yum is yellow dog updater modified.
Okay, so where does yum look for its repositories? Like when you do yum install in this a package name or something.
Yeah.
So where does it get information, like which package to where to fetch this package from?
So basically, I didn't check in that much in depth. But if we are installing particular software only, so the packages are bundled with that particular package. I mean the software only. But from where this Linux machine is pulling the packages, that though.
Okay. That's right.
I will have to check.
Okay. Have you also worked on creating scripts, bash scripts?
Little bit.
Okay.
So in Amdocs it was not required, but in KMG I used to do. So in scripting I am at the beginner level only. So I am planning to learn after I join somewhere, because quite a good number of people are asking for it, and basically both for bash and Python scripting for automation purpose. And when you create EC2 instances in AWS, so there we have a user data script. If we go down below, so there I used to write the script, but at that time whole team was involved in at that time, and I was not a single. I used to contribute and not the single owner of that particular task.
Okay. So is that most of your experience has been setting up Windows servers, or basically troubleshooting network load balancer related issues?
Yeah. I am basically from IT infra background, and programming I know, but I have not been in touch that rigorously.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Because like I told you, in Amdocs I was mainly into cloud migration only. So my designation was of the platform engineer. So I was creating Terraform scripts end to end for that, basically 8 months, and 2 months I was working in BSSC project.
Okay. So, and are you experienced in Docker as well?
Yes.
Okay. So it wouldn't be fair to ask you questions related to Linux, core Linux, or bash scripting or something. So let's pick Docker. Okay. So how would you rate yourself in Docker knowledge?
Around 3 out of 5. Intermediate, not expert.
Okay. So what is Docker?
So Docker is basically a containerization tool which logically separates particular applications using containers. So I mean,
okay.
Because the thing is, if later on if the changes are required, so that affects the application very badly. And then if we are trying to deploy in different kind of environments, so the origin of Docker is that it was introduced in 2014. So basically before that, if I am a developer and I have successfully deployed that particular application in my environment, right?
Okay.
But when you go to the client system and run there, so that time the particular application is not working properly. So the client was always saying that you have not worked properly. So these kind of things happened a lot in KMG. It was a software development company.
Sorry, come again. You would build an image and client would complain about the image not running.
In if we are not using Docker, so Docker came to resolve this kind of issue.
Yeah. That's too clear. So what are the components of a Docker tool?
Docker is basically, there is a daemon set and nodes are there and containers are there.
Yeah,
and it provides one more facility of Docker Swarm, but that is not up to mark. So for that we will use Kubernetes.
I just want to understand what makes Docker run a container. Like, what are the internal components of a Docker?
Internal components of a Docker are, one is the Docker engine and one is the Docker Docker daemon sets, and that is the architecture of Docker.
So what is the background technology that is actually running the container?
So background technology is that it is running on the Linux kernel even if you use Windows system. That is why it is very light, and that way it is working. The GUI part is absent, so that is why it is a very lightweight. And
so Windows system does not have a Linux kernel, right?
Yeah, but when you install the Docker, so it will come with the Linux kernel. Docker has no support. For the practice purpose, I had installed the Docker in my system, so it was all the command line and all the Linux related commands used to work.
Okay.
So on the top of the Windows operating system, it will install the Linux kernel.
Okay. And does the container itself has a kernel?
Has a
kernel?
I think no.
Okay.
Because Docker is an application, so the interface between a hardware and a software is accomplished by the kernel. So the container is an internal part of it.
So you mentioned that there is a Docker daemon, that's Docker engine, but I'm still missing components. Some components that make it run.
There are some more components right now I am unable to recollect. So basically there is a complete architecture. Basically I revised it before 2 months when I was serving notice period.
Okay. And in what capacity have you used Kubernetes?
Beginner to intermediate, not end-to-end deployment.
Okay. How do you rate yourself in Kubernetes?
Around 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
If any company gives me chance to
managed in production, if I'm correct.
So in production, back in KMG, I used to install the Kubernetes service in general EC2 instances and do some containerization, because at that time I was new to cloud, so company didn't give me that kind of exposure because they didn't trust me. And in the MDocs, so BSRC project was deployed in the Azure Kubernetes services. So sometimes there were issues in the infrastructure, so I had done some basic troubleshooting because I was present in that project for a very less amount of time, so I did get that exposure. So basically I used to restart the pods and kill the pods, and that fixed the basic issues. But whenever there were some major issues, so senior guys used to handle those. They didn't ask me all as well.
Okay. So what kind of troubleshooting have you done? Like,
So everything was deployed in the Kubernetes. So sometimes the Jenkins portal was not working, and sometimes it was the portal was working very slow. So these kind of general issues, and once there was some internal networking issue. So basically the restarting and stop the container and then restart again or kill and create it back again. So these kind of things I used to do.
okay. What do you see the status of a pod?
Docker kubectl describe pods, and then we can check the logs.
Okay.
Or else if we would want to check the IP or there is some networking related issue, so we will use override command.
Okay. What components make the Kubernetes networking work?
What kind of components?
What kind of, components are involved in the Kubernetes networking?
I mean, node port, cluster IP, and load balancer. These
They are just ways to expose your services and services. They are not actually the part of the core networking.
because Docker has, I mean, its own logical network. So wherein the containers can basically the pods can communicate between each other. So the IPs are always assigned to pods.
Is that used in is that used in Kubernetes?
What?
Is the Docker networking used in Kubernetes?
No. Kubernetes has its own networking. I mean, as far as I know, it has its own virtual network and the cluster IP and to basically communicate between the containers. Sorry,
Okay.
pods.
Okay. Any more knowledge on that topic?
No. Actually, I have not been in touch around 2 to 3 months. So right now I am unable to recollect.
Okay. So you mentioned that you have worked with Prometheus, Grafana, and Nagios.
Basically, I set up their dashboards back in KMG for their clients.
Right. So what are the differences, core differences in Prometheus, working of Prometheus and Nagios?
So Nagios is, I mean, both are the monitoring tools. Nagios is used for infrastructure monitoring. So it uses a ping mechanism for getting the status of its components, and Prometheus is a pull-based mechanism. And for I mean general networking, we will go for Nagios, and if we are using site reliability and application monitoring, so Prometheus is a better choice. So Prometheus is basically we will run its prompt query language to get the logs, and in Nagios basically we will connect the infra and then configure the mailing service or any messaging service, and then if any breaching is happening there, so that time I mean the alerts we will get the alerts. And Grafana is basically a visualization tool, so we can pull Prometheus, and basically it's a more of a GUI based using data source.
How do you link Grafana with Prometheus?
Using data source option, and there when we go there we get a lot of options, so we can select either Nagios or Prometheus, and then we will pull. So for a rich GUI experience.
Okay.
So
what backend storage is used by Prometheus?
What
backend storage is used by Prometheus?
Backend storage. For what?
For Prometheus.
That though I have not come across.
Okay. What kind of CI/CD pipelines have you managed?
Basically in Jenkins, I have.
I mean, in which organization or what kind of CI/CD flow have you managed?
So in Amdocs, basically it was only manual, so all the setup was done already. And in the KMG, once I mean, sometimes I had to set up the CI/CD pipelines. So basically, for one of the clients, I had set up the Jenkins. So either it can be through the cron expressions or the Groovy script or manual and shed. I mean, single or in parallel. In these types of ways, the CI/CD pipeline can be established, or sometimes we may require to add the plugins. So Jenkins offers around 1500 plugins.
Okay.
So using that.
So how would I pull code from my Git repository?
So we will add the Git URL to the Jenkins and supply its credentials, and then we can pull the code from there. And according to that, there are various kinds of build options which are already present there. Or we can use the Docker commands as well, or we can use shell scripting as well to set up the CI/CD. There is one option in which the timing is given. So even for 1 minute, we can select for the automation that may be automated way that the Jenkins will test the incoming builds automatically, but that is not advisable because it will create a lot of load for the server. So the recommended timing is if we want to use the frequent is 15 minutes or more than that, or else go for a very good configuration server, or otherwise create a master slave architecture.
Okay. So what about the CD part? How would you deploy it to your end services?
Continuous deployment.
Yeah.
I mean, so deployments basically in my cloud migration program, I used to manually deploy the resources, and in my BSSC project also Jenkins I used to run manually.
Okay.
Deployments basically in automated way. So I have no exposure.
Can you explain me the whole CI part, and then how would you deploy your application to your server?
Complete application means the code will be pushed in some repository, and then from there we will pull the code, and then we will do the automation part, or if we want to run them manually, and then using Jenkins, and then the CI part will be accomplished, and then after that we will go for CD. I mean, this is the complete. On the daily basis, the developer are pushing code in some repository. From there, pull the code into Jenkins, and that depends upon project to project.
Okay. Okay, so I'm mostly done with my evaluation. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm not as a question, but you can tell me about your project. Basically, what kind of tools are being used there?
So, as you know, Hike is a product-based company.
Okay.
Main product is our play-to-earn apps, both Cash App and the free apps. So we manage the whole infrastructure on Kubernetes inside Google Cloud.
Oh, okay.
So we have a good stack of tools, including Chef and Jenkins and Kubernetes GKE and Artifactory, and of course Git for SAM. So these kind of tools we manage and take in the requests, handle the CI/CD part, and that's all.
Okay, got it. So how many applications in total are there? Because as far as I know,
Hmm.
Hike is an application I used for some time. It's a messaging app, I think.
Talking about the Hike Messenger.
Yeah, yeah. I used for some time.
So yeah, we sunset that application when we launched before we launched our gaming universe.
Okay,
So it's no longer you can't find Hike
okay,
Messenger is no longer on the Play Store, and it's just one app, but behind the scenes there are multiple microservice architecture and maybe hundreds of application microservices running
okay,
to support one single app.
okay. And one separate questions, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
which is not related to this thing. So, what your company is doing regarding the for preventing the gaming addiction? Because amongst 45, there are around 45 crores of children are there, and there are 7 crore of children as per the government data that they are getting addicted, and I mean they are distracted to gaming only.
I think
So,
that's a very good question, but I'm not the right person to answer that. Mainly product engineers, product managers can better answer, right? We're only backend engineers and our job is to support the infra.
hmm,
But kind of these kind of product related questions and queries can only be answered better by the product managers.
okay. And is there any money also involved, or only the cryptocurrency is being used in gaming part?
No, crypto is one part in the NFT, but you can directly link your Paytm wallet and make transactions while you are playing games and investing money. So it's very small amounts, 2 rupees, 1 rupee table, and then it can go higher to when you are experienced enough, you can try the higher tables as well.
Hmm. Okay, that was nice talking to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Like this, Ritvik.
Okay. Bye. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye bye.